I was a Peace Intern in 2010. I had a robust schedule, like so many of our Peace Interns do, of flying all over the country, which was pretty wonderful when you've just graduated college and you're looking for something to do with that summer. And one of the stories I remember the most is my time at Camp Caroline. While I was there at Camp Caroline, I was actually counseling alongside my peace intern from when I was a high schooler. Rob McWright was a counselor at Camp Caroline, and he was my peace intern at Camp Crystal in northern Michigan, where I grew up. But when I got to Camp Caroline, you were met with the normal introductions, incredibly friendly faces, wonderful other staff people, and camp directors. And we were all just preparing for the students to show up, for all of our campers to arrive. And while we were talking about it, I learned a little bit about what the demographics of that campground were going to be. And that an interesting part of me being at that camp would be that there was a large JROTC population. So a lot of military families and a lot of high schoolers that were pursuing ROTC and might be joining the military after high school or carrying that into their college experience. And I'm not warned, but told you might have to explain what you're here to do more than once. And when the campers arrived, I thought, no problem. Big extrovert energy over here. So I was like, I'll win them over. This is camp number 4 or 5 at this point. I'm pretty confident that we'll be all right. And I had my peace and social justice workshops all queued up, and I was ready to be a co-counselor in a cabin. And things started off incredibly well. Started meeting the campers, getting to know them. Everyone was really friendly and excited to be at camp. But there was one young man that found out what I was there to do, and that I wasn't just a counselor, but that I was the peace intern. And he seemed standoffish, would be the polite way to say it. But then at some point, directly concerned with my presence. And he had a lot of questions because he was JROTC and he was planning to join the military after he graduated high school. I think he was a senior at the time. And he was not happy that I was there. He felt like by the camp deciding to have me present and to specifically be representing an organization calling for and advocating for peace, that I was there to say that what he wanted to do with his life was not only problematic, but not something that I agreed with, or maybe that our church agreed with. Over the course of the week, I invited him very specifically to come to some of the workshops. And I told him, I think what you'll find is that what I want to talk to you about is not what you should or shouldn't do with your life and what you feel called to do. But what I want to do is I want to equip you with information. And I think you might find what I'm doing the workshops on to be interesting. He's like, hard pass. No, thank you. Won't be attending. But I made them pretty fun. I was pretty intentional about making them engaging. If you're going to give them a tough topic and you're going to talk about global hunger, you need to do it in a way that they actually want to come to the workshop and tell their friends to come to the next one. So after I had done the first workshop, first day of camp, he was told by his friends, you should come. It's pretty fun. Like she's not what you think she is. And he was standoffish still, didn't really want to come. And then on the second day, he asked me some questions. Well, what are you doing? I was like, well, the next one we'll be talking about the refugee crisis. There's a lot of people in our military that do try to do things to support the refugees that come to our community or that they meet abroad. Maybe you might be interested in that one. And I was very surprised when I saw that he had signed up for my small group. And when he came, we had such important conversations about the difference between peacekeeping, active war zones, what it means for the people that leave the spaces where he might be in the future when he's deployed. And we had a conversation that I felt like bridged the gap, something that made him understand that what I was wanting to do, that DPF tries to do with advocating and equipping and supporting the work of peace, didn't have to be in conflict with what his family was structured around. And I hope that after that summer at camp, maybe he walked away with something that led him to be more open to conversations with people who hold different views and values than he does. I know it helped me to consider, what does my message and what DPF has meant to me, not only as a camper, but as an adult, and wanting to bring that type of education to people in places that might think that it has nothing to do with them. I do think, especially in this political climate, we're in a period of time where we have to think about how do we speak to each other? How do we find common humanity? And how do we try to bring about an understanding of the way that we care for the world, not only through our faith, but through what it means to be a part of a community and to create community that's lasting and that accepts people that have different thoughts and different beliefs and different values. So that summer for me stuck with me for a lot of reasons, but I don't think I'll ever forget that camper.